Floating silently in the dark, frozen expanse of the outer solar system, there reigns a majestic but terrifying monarch, an ancient celestial deity wrapped in an armor of golden mist. From our distant, fragile perspective on Earth, Saturn appears to be a vision of absolute peace and ceremonial perfection, a pristine jewel cradled by brilliant glowing bands of silver ice. Early observers tracked its slow, deliberate path across the night sky and imagined a god of patience, remote authority, and orderly calm. For centuries, we treated this world as a polished cosmic masterpiece, a finished portrait of celestial harmony. But this flawless facade is a brilliant, cold-blooded deception. Closer inspection reveals that Saturn is not a passive object floating in space. It is a monstrous, living entity, a breathing colossus of violence, hidden malice, and reality-bending geometry that defies human comprehension. To look beneath its golden veil is to realize that its beauty is merely the skin of a living nightmare. The first cosmic truth that shatters our understanding of this golden giant is that it possesses no true flesh or bone, no solid ground upon which an explorer could ever hope to stand. Saturn is a shifting, suffocating envelope of hydrogen and helium gas, a world where the distinction between the sky and the planet itself completely decays. If you were to plunge into its body, you would not crash into a solid landscape. Instead, you would experience an endless descent into a dark, suffocating throat. As you sink deeper, the atmosphere compresses around you with terrifying, accelerating weight, transforming from a thin mist into a dense, boiling soup of hyper-pressurized fluids. The pressure forces the environment to mutate, blending states of matter together until standard physical rules fail entirely. It is an anatomical prison where you are continuously squeezed, pulled, and swallowed by a world that is all atmosphere and no floor. This living world does not even respect the symmetry of a perfect sphere. Saturn is driven by a restless, manic energy, spinning on its axis with such savage velocity that it completes a full day in just 10.5 hours. This furious, self-destructive rotation generates outward forces so extreme that they have literally deformed the planet's anatomy. The colossus bulges violently at its equator while its northern and southern crowns are flattened and compressed. It is a world pulled permanently out of balance by its own internal velocity. A shifting mass of fluid that appears to be actively tearing itself apart as it hurtles through the darkness. This speed fuels a chaotic atmospheric engine where golden bands of toxic gas slide past each other like muscular coils, creating a permanent, groaning friction that echoes across the void. Deep within the planet's dark, pressurized belly, an unsettling biological process is taking place. Saturn is starving for warmth in the deep freeze of space, so it generates its own internal fever. Deep in the interior, where the pressures become completely unnatural, helium separates from the surrounding hydrogen, condensing into droplets that fall as a silent, continuous rain into the planet's core. This elemental friction releases a massive amount of hidden heat, a burning energy that slowly rises from the abyss to claw its way up toward the frozen cloud tops. This means that while the outermost layer of Saturn is a freezing mask of -140 degrees, its internal depths are a raging furnace hotter than the surface of the sun, driving a permanent, vertical war of heat and pressure that never sleeps. The primary weapon of this planetary monarch is its iconic crown, the rings. From afar, they look like a smooth, glowing halo of divine light, but their origin is a tale of horrific cosmic slaughter. Millions of years ago, A large, innocent moon made almost entirely of pure ice ventured too close to the golden giant, unaware of the invisible, predatory forces lurking around it. As the moon crossed a fatal, invisible perimeter known as the Roche limit, Saturn's immense, uneven gravitational tide gripped the moon like a vice. The planet did not simply pull the moon into orbit. It ruthlessly tore it apart, ripping its icy crust from its core and grinding its entire skeletal remains into trillions of sharp, jagged shards. The rings we admire today are actually the pulverized, floating graveyard of a murdered moon, a glittering ring of shrapnel circling the master that destroyed it. If the ring system represents the remains of Saturn's past victims, its northern crown holds an even more shocking mystery. An inexplicable geometric deformity known as the hexagon. At the absolute north pole of the planet, the howling winds do not move in natural fluid curves. Instead, they lock themselves into a massive, permanent six-sided geometric structure that behaves with mechanical rigidity. This colossal atmospheric cage is so vast that multiple Earths could be dropped side by side inside its boundaries. This geometric scar cuts deep into the planet's flesh, extending hundreds of kilometers down into the hidden layers of the atmosphere. Scientists are still haunted by how a fluid, chaotic gas giant can maintain a geometric structure with such perfect, unyielding straight lines, making the planet look less like a natural phenomenon and more like an alien megastructure or an ancient machine awakening in the dark. At the very center of this geometric prison lies Saturn's unblinking eye, a terrifying polar vortex. This massive hurricane resembles a deep sinkhole in a golden sea, a swirling funnel of clouds circling a central core of pure darkness. When viewed through infrared lenses, this eye glows with an ominous concentrated heat, revealing that it acts as a colossal exhaust pipe venting the planet's deep internal fever out into the freezing void. The cloud walls around this dark iris resemble a blood-red rose or a spinning cosmic drain, pulling everything down into a bottomless pit of absolute nothingness. It is an eye that never closes, staring out into the interstellar darkness, waiting to swallow any traveler daring enough to approach its crown. Humanity's only real understanding of this golden monster came from a brave, robotic sacrificial lamb, the Cassini spacecraft. For 13 long years, this mechanical explorer stalked Saturn, dancing through its radiation fields, mapping its ring graveyard, and peering into its deep, stormy secrets. Cassini provided the bedrock of our modern cosmic knowledge, capturing jaw-dropping, awe-inspiring portraits of the giant that redefined our understanding of reality. But the Golden King does not tolerate spies for long. In the final chapter of its life, when its fuel was entirely spent, scientists were forced to steer Cassini into a deliberate death dive. As the probe plunged into the planet's thick, sulfurous clouds, it kept gathering and transmitting data until the very last second, screaming its findings across space, even as Saturn's crushing atmosphere tore it into thousands of pieces and vaporized its metal body into ash. Saturn remains out there in the freezing dark, an ancient golden colossus ruling its domain with silent, absolute authority. It stands as a dramatic and shocking reminder that the universe does not conform to human ideals of order, comfort, or safety. It is a living, breathing paradox, a world of breathtaking, seductive beauty that hides an interior of unmatched mechanical violence, geometric madness, and crushing obliteration. Its rings will continue to shine, its geometric eye will continue to stare into the abyss, and its diamond rains will continue to fall into the dark, indifferent to our existence. We are merely fragile, fleeting observers catching a brief glimpse of a golden monarch that was old before our world was born and will remain reigning long after we are gone.